up guys, this is Adam from 3dmodelsworld.com. Welcome to another Maya tutorial. So today I want to show you guys how to create this really cool chimney destruction in Maya and physics, bullet physics. And it's gonna be a really fun tutorial to do, and there's lots of things we're covering in this tutorial, and it's kind of a little bit advanced. If you did not check my other tutorial that I created for the bullet physics, it's kind of like introduction where we have the wrecking ball hitting like a bunch of cubes and destroying them. You can check that. That one goes to the basics, and this one gonna be more advanced. But also guys, I want to show you some tool we created here at 3D Models World. It's gonna help you shatter thousands of objects really easily and quickly in Maya. So without further delay, let's get started. Okay, so this is a blank scene I have. I just want to show you guys some stuff I need to talk to you about before we start creating this tutorial. So let me first create a polycube, and then let's scale it. And then I want to use that Maya shattering, because first, before we create the simulation, we want to make sure we shatter everything in this object. So let's go to effects. The typical Maya way is basically you go to effects, and then you go to this shatter, and then let's reset everything, and we're gonna create, of course, solid shatter. So we don't want just cracks on the surface. We want to make sure there's like pieces. So let's create the counts. Now defaults 5, you can make it 8, and then solid shatter, that's fine. We can keep it shapes. We don't need to triangulate the surface, and then click create, and then you get this error in Maya. So this is like I found it not very reliable script to use, and it have like lots of issues and things, and it's not very stable. So I want to introduce you a tool that we created at 3D Models World, and it's gonna be really helpful for you guys. And it's called this PSG, which is stand for Polygon Shattering Generator, and it's really simple tool to use, but very effective as well. So let me first go to shading, and then let's go to wireframe unshaded, so we can see the wireframes here. Let's hide the grid. I'm gonna give you a quick demo how to use it. So you select the geo, and then click shatter. So now I split it into 2 pieces. You can see here it's filled and everything is working well. So you can select as many pieces as you want, and you just basically keep selecting and clicking on shattering. And it's gonna keep splitting this object into multiple pieces, and you can see how fast it is. It's like super fast too. And then you can select, you keep selecting and keep shattering the pieces that you want, and you can shatter as many times as you need. And you can see here we quickly generated over 200 pieces without any problems. And then as you can see here, every piece it have already everything is like working well with it. And so you can see here all the pieces. Let me pull some pieces out. So this was really fast to have this pretty awesome effect generated really quickly without any headaches and any issues. So this is like a major thing. We had the issue before creating this tutorial is basically we don't have like specific tool in Maya that can give us this really quick results and be very reliable, which you're gonna see when we have a more complicated object to use. So this is just quickly show you guys how you can use that. Plus also, like if we go to the modeling, you're gonna see here in the UV editor it still maintain the UVs. They're not like perfect UVs, but they have UVs in case you want to do something. And if you have a material applied to it, the new faces will basically take the same material or the same texture of the original. Okay, so let me close the scene. Okay, so this is a scene I have. As you can see, we have this chimney, and then we have this building. So the first thing we need to do is let's create the sphere that's gonna be like affecting this chimney and destroying it. So let's go to create polygon, and then let's go to click on sphere. Then let's scale it, and then let's move it away like this, and then everything here is good. Let's also lower the subdivision. We don't need it to be this much. Maybe something like this, 4, and then let's maybe scale it down like that. Increase it. Let me just move it. I want the impact to be somewhere like here. I guess that will be pretty good. Maybe let's also make it a bit thinner, maybe something like this. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's position it somewhere around here, and then let's like go delete by the history, and then like also freeze the transformation. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is have this sphere going through and then destroying this chimney here. You can apply like dynamic simulation on it, but what I'm gonna show you guys is basically how to animate it and how to influence the physics simulation through animation. Okay, so let's go to effects and then here bullet. You can see it. If you don't see it, then you go to the Windows setting preferences, plugin manager, and then if you scroll down a little bit, you can see it, the bullet bundle here. You can activate it. Okay, so first let's go to this bullet and then let's click on active rigid body. The settings here, let's reset the settings, and then you can see here the collider shape. We can choose from the options here. Let's see, we can select the sphere, or we can select capsule, but let's just select the sphere because it's a sphere object. And then like the body type, we can change it from we need to change it from dynamic rigid body to kinematic, because dynamic you cannot apply any animations on it. It's gonna be just applied through the forces of dynamics on it. And kinematic rigid body, that's you can apply animation to it. So let's click apply and close. Gives an error, but you don't need to worry too much about that. So now you can see it have like created a bullet solver, and also we have the options here for the settings of it. So let's change the mass for this one from 1 to maybe like let's go to something like 15. Everything else here is fine. And then let's go back to the window here, and then let's start creating our animation. So let's press S to set keyframe, and let's go to frame 40, or let's say 60, and then let it go through to this side here. So now we have this animation. Press S again, and let's go to the frame 1 and let's play, and you can see it's going through. The animation is working fine, which is that's really good. And let's see, so what we can do, maybe push this a little bit further. I just wanna see my rendering resolution. Let's see the render resolution, if we're gonna render like this. So I wanna make sure it could be still showing here, it's fine. So that's okay, we don't need to worry too much about that. Okay, I want to make sure go exit the screen, that's good. So let's remove these guys again, and then let's go through the animation. Want to make sure we're getting some nice impact. So maybe I'm gonna key frame 30, and then I'm gonna push it to actually hit like start the impact here at frame 30. So I just here keying the impact frame. I just want to make sure we have a solid impact here, and it's not just randomly like impacting in any specific frames. So this way, no matter what we change before and after, it's frame 30 gonna be impacting our chimney here. So this way we have more control over it. Okay, so that's cool. So we could adjust the graph editor here a little bit. If we go here, go to the Z, we can maybe start it. So if we select the Z, and then we can just adjust it a little bit, and just you know, have it more like there is a slow out, but not as much. And then here we can have the slow in, not as much as well. So this way we can increase, like just make it a little bit more consistent speed. Will feel slower, but that's okay for now. Okay, so now let's start working on the chimney. So we selected, as you can see here in the scene, we have the chimney and the building. So we select the chimney, and before we start shattering it, we just want to make sure we separate. If there's all these combined objects, we don't need it to be combined like that. So let's go like to modeling, and let's go mesh, and let's click on separate. So now we separate everything here. So that's good. So now let's start working on each section. So let's run our script here, and then let's select the top part of the chimney, and then let's shatter it. So let me switch to wireframe and shading, and then let's click multiple time here. So maybe that's enough, like just, you know, these pieces will be enough to shatter it, because the moment of impact is not here, it's gonna be affecting as much. Okay, so now this is done, so let's group this one, make it like a top part. Just a quick naming here, and let's hide it as well. Let's select this part, let's shatter, and then let's start shattering it multiple time. Let's select here. Okay, and then let's just shatter the top part here more times. And let's go to frame 30, where's the impact here, and then let's let me select this sphere here, and then let's add it to new layer, and then let's make it a template so we can see here better. So I want this moment here to have like the most shards created, because that's where the impact at like it's strongest. Meanwhile, I just want to keep an eye on how many pieces I'm creating here, so I don't want too much. Let's press 4 so you can see all these pieces created. Let's just deselect some parts of it. Let's shatter. I'll just keep you know, breaking. Sometimes select multiple pieces, sometimes select just one at a time. It depends on the situation. Let's select this way. Okay, and then let's see here. So we can break this one a little bit more. Just keep breaking this part as well. We don't want like too big pieces, and we don't want like too many small pieces as well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's maybe select these guys and then shatter them more, just a couple of times. Okay, because this is the main hit in here, so let's select this, and let's make sure we deselect all these guys here. We don't need much. And let's see, and then let's shatter these. Okay, just keep breaking some of these pieces. We don't want it to be too big. Okay, let's see here. Maybe this side here. Let's shatter these guys. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's do a quick shattering in here. So now this is enough. Like we have almost 700 pieces. That's pretty good. So let's divide these into two groups. So I want the first group is this higher part here. So let's select it, and then we can group it here. I want to take all the pieces here. I want to add them to that other group. So I select all the pieces, and then I go scroll down, and then command and select the group itself and press P. So now I moved everything into here, and then this group I don't need it anymore. And then let's select everything here else, and then let me group this together as well. But then I wanna make sure the bottom part is still fine, it doesn't have any impact. So what I'm gonna do, I just select all the pieces at the bottom part here. Let me just make sure I'm selecting everything. Let's see, okay, that's fine. And then let's group them together. So we have another group inside this group. So let's see, so we got group here, and then another group, another group. So we have like 3 groups now. So let me hide these 2 groups at the top. So this is what's gonna be left out after the hit. So that's pretty cool. So this is gonna call this like non-dynamic shards. We're gonna apply dynamic to them, but we can call them like this. And then let's say this group is called like mid section, and then this group let's call this group like top part, or let's say keep it consistent, top section. Let's close the script, and then so we have these sections now, and then let's save. Okay, so now let's keep going. Once we have all these sections created, now the next step, let's start converting them to dynamics. I just want to show you guys quickly here something that's very important. It's called rigid sets, and that's in the bullet simulation, where you can basically have a set applied to like thousands of objects, and whatever you do in this set is gonna be applying to every individual objects inside these sets. So this is really good. I'm gonna be linking some of this documentation into the blog we have for this tutorial, so you can visit the blog and then you can see all the relevant links and all this kind of stuff. So let's go back to Maya, and then now let's start creating these sets. So for this top section, let's go to effects, and let's go to bullet, and let's go here to rigid set, and let's reset the settings here, and then let's call it the same, like top section, and then apply and close, and then let's go to this mid section, the same thing, rigid set, reset the settings here, and then let's call this mid section. Okay, so this is all good. So that's the two sections I want to create. This is not gonna have any like movement on it, so we can keep it as it is. We don't need to create a section for it. Okay, so let's click on this bullet solver, and now if you wanna play the animation, you can see we're gonna have some interesting results. If you press play, everything, you know, explodes into space so fast. That's something we need to work on and improve, because we don't want to have a simulation do like that. Okay, so first let's start adjusting the simulation. So we don't want anything to start unless it gets hit by this sphere. So how are we gonna do this? Basically, if you click on these sections that we just created, the top section, and then we have the mid section here. So you can see here in the initial state there is these settings here: the rigid attributes, initial attribute, conditions, and then collision attributes. Okay, so under this rigid, and then initial, and then collision, this is all the settings that we're gonna be adjusting. So first let's play with the mass. So we have the mass now set to 1. Let's adjust it, because we adjusted the mass on the sphere. We created like 15. So let's make these guys a little bit more heavier than just the default. So the top sections, this is where the impact gonna be, so let's make it like 5, and then we can leave everything here the same. And then the initial condition, let's click initially sleeping. So this is gonna control, like at the beginning there's nothing happening unless something you know, hits these, interact with them, then something gonna happen. But if there's nothing happening, then they're gonna stay static. So initially we put sleeping. Let's go to the other top section here and do the same. So for this one, the lower part, we just want to make it heavier, so let's make it 10 instead of 5, and then same, initially sleeping. So let's press play, and then see what's happen. So you can see it's pretty good, like nothing moves until it gets hit, but once it gets hit it just goes crazy. So we don't want that. We want to make sure like it's more realistic, so everything like folds instead of like explode like that. So what we can do is basically go back to this initial state section, and then under the collision attribute we want to change that from box to change it to hull. So hull is gonna create shape similar to the shape itself, because all these is not gonna apply. So just hull is like the closest thing we can do. And then we want to make sure this the margin for the collision itself is like set to 0. So this way there's no space between these collisions. So this way they're not gonna be pushing each other. So this is what we're gonna do, and this of course apply to everything. And then let's go to the next, and then do the same thing. Let's change it to hull and then put it to 0. So let's go back and then play the simulation. Okay, so you can see it's much better now. It's much more stable. So that's cool. So now we know like things are working nicely. Okay, so now let's go to the solver itself here, the shape node, and then let's start playing with the gravity, because now it's really like the gravity low. And if you want to increase the weight, because these are like, you know, like rocks and bricks, so they need to be heavy, fall down. So let's add 98. Let's basically make it 100 instead of just 9. And let's press play. Okay, so now you can see it's much better. So it gets hit and then everything falls apart. Okay, so that's cool. Another thing we can do here now, while we like enhancing this simulation, let's increase this internal fixed frame rate, and that's basically the quality. Let's put it to 120 instead of 60. This is gonna just make it the simulation more realistic and the calculation much better. So you can see it's nice. Moment impact, everything goes down. That's like really good. So now that's pretty cool. So let's keep going. And now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you guys. Let's start playing with these initial settings here. And the condition, we're gonna start to change the behavior of these objects. So now the top section, for example, wanna check glue shapes. So this we're gonna glue some pieces together, not everything gonna be spreading. And this under this glue breaking threshold, this is like the strength of the glue. Basically, the higher the number, the more pieces gonna be glued together. And then the max constraint per body, like how many of these shapes affecting each other. So let's start, since I already applied the glue shapes, this is already gonna apply some settings on it. So let's maybe start with 4 here, and then let's enhance this to like, let's say 8. And let's go to the midsection, and then this midsection I want it to be less affected. So let's also check this glue, and then let's maybe put it to 15. And then also let put this like 9 or 8. These numbers, they don't have like to be super specific. You can play with them, but this is just from the top of my head. Just added these numbers. So let's press play, and you can see it looks kind of pretty cool, because some sections you can see here, this piece here maintained glued together, but now everything falls like that. So the next thing we need to do is let's play with this building and start adding collision with it, so it's gonna start interact, as well as these guys, the non-dynamic guys here. So let's select them all, and then let's go to bullet, and let's go to passive rigid body, and let's select reset. Okay, so we want these guys not to move, so we want them to be static. We don't want them to be kinematic or dynamic, just static, so they don't move. And then we want to change collider shape from box to, let's put also a mesh static only, not hull. We don't need to do hull. Mesh is a little bit slower to calculate, but it will give us more realistic result. So click apply and close. So this should apply in all of them. You can see, so this is good. And then for this building, it's better not to apply directly on it like that, so let's break it apart. So let's go to modeling, and let's go mesh, and then separate. So this way we have the building separated to its original pieces. Let's go delete by type history, and we can also freeze transformation. Like transformation is frozen, so that's good. Okay, and then let's go the same thing here. Let's go to fix bullet, and then passive here, mesh, everything is good here. Apply and close, and let's just do the same. Let me just pull up this menu, and let's just click on this passive. You could select everything and apply, but I just want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. So passive, and this one passive, so this way we make sure everything is gonna interact correctly. We don't need these walls to have any effect, so that's fine. So let's close, and then let's press play. Oh, now you can see much better, everything interacting more realistic. So let's press play again. Okay, so let me do a play blast, and let's remove the wireframe and shaders. And then let's save, and let me do a quick play blast. Okay, so the play bus ready. Let's see. So you can see, guys, it already looks pretty cool. It's much more realistic, and you can see some of the parts breaking and then falling really nicely. And I really like this chunk here, how it's falling and then hitting and breaking some pieces and then falling on the ground. That's pretty cool. So that's really nice thing you can do with a bullet to be able to create this kind of nice simulation. So I think that's pretty good for now. Like, we don't need to really do much settings on this. It's looking pretty cool, and it does the job really nicely. So you see moment of impact, everything breaks, some chunks stay, some chunks fall. It's pretty nice. And as you can see, like the script that I showed you guys, this one that we created, is really powerful and can help you really quickly create these thousands of pieces and have a really nice simulation combined with the bullet physics. And it's inexpensive, and we really appreciate your guys' support. So this way we can keep creating tutorials for you guys, and we can keep creating like tools and assets to help you, and so we can keep going together. So hopefully this tutorial will help you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to get notified when I publish a new video. Feel free to check our website 3dmodelsworld.com for more tutorials and cool 3D assets. Until next time, take care.